Hi, it's Susan, and welcome to Between Sips. I was thinking the other day how I started this podcast and what is the essence of it? And then I realized, oh yeah, it goes all the way back to the 90s when I used to watch a little known show called Saturday Night Live. You might know it. On there was this particular sketch that Mike Myers was featured in called Coffee Talk with Paula Baldwin. Paula Baldwin was this New York Jewish woman who would invite friends over for coffee and a talk. And so here we are. This is my version of that. And while I'll be inviting a lot of my friends to have talks, I might drop in an episode or two here and there solo. This is an extension of my business called Susan's Little Cup of Magic, so it all ties into the coffee talk thing. I hope in this podcast that you can feel that it's cozy, chill, conversational, but above all, these conversations are meant to connect and to bring something inspiring and motivating to you, for us, to feel that connection. And if something does inspire you here today, while you're listening, please drop a comment down below. Now, if you want to know where to find my podcast, it's in two places. It's here on YouTube. It's on anywhere you can hear a podcast, but it originates over on Substack. And if you want to join the community or maybe become a guest on Coffee Talk, or aka Between Sips, join me over there on Substack. This next episode is fresh and ready for you, so grab your cups and let's go listen.
Today, I want to talk about retreats. I know they're everywhere and we can take them whenever we want them or need them. But I want to talk about a solo writer's retreat, which I'm about to embark upon. And I'm going to be doing that without a huge budget, and I'm not doing it in the bougie way. And it's all kind of interesting how it came together. I just want to take a second to introduce myself. I'm Susan Vriend. I'm a certified coactive intuitive coach, a professional coach, and I'm also a Holy Fire Reiki master healer. And I coach one-on-one sessions with women who are like me, neurodivergent, psychic, intuitive, who are creative, running businesses or other kinds of projects. This podcast is called Between Sips because I want it to feel a little more like a conversation. Episode is more of a solo episode, and I want to tell you about this writer's retreat that I've created for myself. Because a big goal and dream of mine is to complete, publish, and put out in the world a book I started in 2021. This book is more of a memoir of some experiences I had in my life that were difficult. And I think we all have those moments. And some of this, I do tell some of these stories in a different book that I've released this month, April 2026. I'm going to It's got 2 more days left where anybody who subscribes to my Substack can get a free copy, because I wanna take it, clean it up, and republish it. But that's more of an ebook, and in there I tell a few little stories, but the bigger book has a bigger impact. At least it did in my life. And so this has been kind of a thing for me this year, and I wrote a little bit about it at the top of the year when it became my wish for the year. And it's in a post called 13 Wishes. It's a thing that you can do to ring in the new year. And you're only responsible for one wish. The other wishes are all the universe has to deliver. But the one wish that you're left with, the 13th one, that's on you to make happen, which I ended up with the book. And that is one dream. The other is the retreat, which I want to talk about today. I have always wanted to go on a retreat, maybe you too. I've either wanted to go to one or hold one, and I've been dancing with that for quite some time. When I first became a coach, I was like, there's so many ways to do a business, right? I was like, oh, and you kind of have to know who you're helping and you have to kind of get into your own practice that I feel before you can really go, oh, I can have a retreat now. But I've always had the idea. And then years go on and my kids growing up and kind of just lost track of it. And because of ADHD, I was probably on to the next thing. Retreats are a big undertaking. I would definitely need somebody to partner with to get through that. Um, so it's interesting. I've seen so many different ways with it. And about, oh, I don't know, 2 years ago, yeah, it's 2026. Yeah, 2 years ago, I was going to partner with a woman who owns a castle in the not quite the south of France, but like central France region where there's a lot of castles. And she had this beautiful castle. And she wanted to beta test with me retreats. And I would be beta testing a retreat. And at the time, I had a few clients, but I had 4 months to put this together. And it just, as things would happen, the universe showed me that I didn't have the bandwidth, and it kind of imploded. And fortunately so, because when we would have had the retreat, I would have needed to go back home, where in November I went back home to be with my family because my father was very ill. So things happen for a reason. I know sometimes people are like, ugh, don't say that. But they do. And I think in this way, I wasn't ready. Um, and then I talked to other people and I was talking about partnering with other people, but then 2025 happened and basically the only retreat that I could do was the one on my couch, which I got a beautiful new couch. And so it was okay. And that's because of burnout, grieving the loss of my father, and that my disease became more acute. And I didn't think my disease could get any worse than it already was, but here we are. Nothing was working when I got back home, and it took a toll. And my body basically was saying, it's time to take care of you, Susan. Okay. In all of this, I had heard different people and friends how to do a retreat, or it's a really great thing to do to work through your grief. And I'm in a lot of ways still kind of up and down. But about 2 months ago, I work with a therapist and she was like, what would be really good is if you could take a weekend away, because I'm still working through a lot of things. And I have ADHD, and emotional regulation and overwhelm seem to ramp up here and there throughout the year before all this stuff happened. When she said that, I'm like, yeah, well, anything I would want to do would cost a lot of money, whether it's a facilitated event or going to a hotel room, or even renting an Airbnb, because I'm just moving my life somewhere else. And a retreat, however, for me feels like it's taking those pressures away. It's helping you retreat from your day to day life so you can rejuvenate. And to me, that was stressful to think of it as a retreat because I'd be spending all this money to get away from, that's how I was looking at it. And then I don't know, something came together and I realized I have this wonderful friend who lives in Amsterdam and she travels quite a bit. And I pitched an idea to her where I could take care of her cat and she wouldn't have to pay for the cat sitter, but she'd be helping me out by giving me a place to stay for a little time to retreat. She said yes. And this week, I'm going on my first official solo writer's retreat. I don't have to spend a dime. She's not paying me. She's giving me a place to stay. I will provide my own food just like I would at home. I'm going to be staying in a wonderful big city, so I can take little walking trips and go to the shops or stay in. The thing is, I can make it whatever I want. And I'm looking forward to working on that book and playing around with some new themes and ideas that I have. I've left this book on the shelf for a really long time. I started it in 2021, but the story starts way back in the 90s. And when I look back at what I wrote 5 years ago, it was a wonderful cathartic experience to write this 25,000 word draft out. A lot of it was confronting and remembering really hard things. And I think that is what I've always done in my life is process through writing. Writing is my way of, like I said, processing emotions, but also reflecting on what I see happening in a situation or what had happened, what I was feeling and thinking. And so back in 2021, when I sat down every morning, I'd get online with a friend of mine to co write. We didn't talk at all. We were just like in the same space writing together. And I learned to do that a long time ago when I did NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month, which is no longer, um, where you write every day for a month. And so I know how to get into the flow of that. But what I'm trying to do now is take a piece that I've already started and reshape it with new energy. I talked about this in an article or two ago on my Substack where I met this wonderful coach, and her name's Vanessa. And she helped tap into a new way of being with this project. And it feels really good. And here's what I get from all of this. What I did 5 years ago was remember and get the events right for me so that I could heal from it. And it's been there for a while. And almost every year after, I'm like, am I going to publish it? Am I going to share it? Does it need to be a thing? I think that's a really key question to ask if you are embarking on writing your memoir. Is it for you? Is it for others? Does it need to be published? I wrote another article on a different Substack where I think it's okay that you don't share things if it's going to re traumatize you. It's tricky to tell your story. But where I'm at now and where I was then are two different women. I'm learning a lot more about myself, and I can look at those events in a different way than I could before. I was really hell bent in getting all the details right because if somebody reads this, I don't want to check, this energy. And now I'm in my 50s now, losing a parent, going through a lot. I can see this longing to understand. And that's different than what I was writing from back then. Changing the energy of a story. Well, I know writing is a solo act. But what helped me was in that 25,000 draft was to actually write it and have a buddy with me. And I'd like to do that too. So on my writer's retreat, I want to invite you to a fun creative play writing workshop called This Isn't the Whole Story that I'm running on May 4th. All the details will be down below in this podcast episode. This does not mean you have to be a writer. This is really about having fun with everyday stories and seeing how we can change the energy of a situation. This isn't about reframing or, changing the storyline to make it better, but it is about looking at things from different perspectives. It's something I'm learning about with writing my own memoir. I don't have to write it in a serious tone. I don't have to deliver this heavy story like that. I can deliver it with a bit more lightness, realness, and comedy, because I like to laugh. And I'd like to invite you. I have 12 spots available, and it's a beta type of experiment I'm doing, but it's the start of having some fun with story. Again, you don't have to be a writer. The only thing you really need is creativity and a little intuition and an hour and a half. Check it out. I'd love to see you there. And I will see you again on Between Sips. Are you writing a story? How are you telling it? And I'd love to hear from you. From my cup to yours. Until next time.
Thank you for listening to this latest episode of Between Sips. If you liked what you heard, please consider subscribing to this channel. Or if you want to continue this conversation, join my community over on Substack. You'll find all the information below. And thank you for listening. Until next time, from my cup to yours.